you guys to continue to put pressure on them and just continue the momentum that you guys have built up in the first quarter or in the first half?
I'd say just trusting one another. You know, Coach told us like it's gonna be ups and downs. The most important part is like it's not always gonna go our way. So let's just lean on each other, having each other's backs. You know, the crowd got loud, but we just stay poised and have a great mindset.
Solid all-around game from you guys tonight. A lot of guys scoring, sharing the ball, and all that. Do you feel like that's kind of just a good example of what this team can be when you're kind of firing on all cylinders?
Yeah, I think we have a great group of guys character-wise. I think we do a great job of sharing the ball through and through. You know, the guards do a great job of getting it to us bigs. If we get double, we kick it back out. You know, they'll drive and help create offense. So I think, yeah, this team is truly unselfish for sure.
Tobe, I was just curious about the threes you're hitting and Brayden getting the 11 boards too. Both you guys kind of up and out that way today.
Yeah, I guess me and him swap roles today. But yeah, you know, I was just open, felt confident to take the shot. So yeah, that's really all that it was. And then, you know, Coach has been on the guards to rebound, and I think Brayden's done a great job of taking that to heart throughout practice, cutting out, and then also trying to you know get more active on the offensive boards as well. So yeah.
Brayden, how about your day?
Yeah, going off what he said, honestly, with the rebounds, just Coach getting on me about getting rebounds, and you know that's what I'm supposed to do, get us extra possessions. And if I rebound, it makes the big's job easier, and then they can just run down the floor. And then with shooting, he works on his shot every day after practice, so I have like total confidence in him shooting that shot, especially when he's wide open at the top of the key. So I actually like that shot from Tobe.
Appreciate that, bro.
What was key for you guys? Just what did you think the key to just jumping on right away today? What was working well for you, and especially early?
I think we just put a lot of pressure on the rim. You know, forced them to foul early. I think that opened up a three-point game as well. And you know, we just you know kept coming. I thought you know our game in transition was fluid. Yvonne did a great job at the start of the game. I think he really set the tone. You know, getting some early steals, getting us some quick, easy, fast break points. So kudos to him as well.
Is there a specific number? Is there a specific number that you like to target in terms of deflections, steals, whatever it may be? Because your transition points throughout the season have been great, and then so that one's for both you guys, and then for Brayden in specific. Do you feel a difference in the way you've been defended this season since a bit of a struggling start in terms of efficiency, and since then you've been soaring through the roof and killing it? Have you felt the defense adjust to you, and what are your adjustments back to that?
Well, for your question, on defense, I just felt like at the beginning of the year I was like a little new to this. Like high school I didn't really play guards. So like when I got to college, I just started learning little techniques, and I'm still learning to this day. And then Coach is just like, he's on me, you know, and I just feel like I'm getting better and better by the game.
Yeah, and then in terms of deflections, that's something we harp on during practice all the time, being up to the touch, being up in the gaps, studying at the ball, recovering, all that kind of stuff. So I think we've been really focusing on, you know, on the principles and the process, and then the outcome, you know, shows itself out during the game.
Does this being a Big 12 opener matter for you guys to make a difference in anything you're doing out there as opposed to some of the other big games you've had? You know?
Well, I mean, we've been talking about, you know, coming out with a fresh new mindset. What happened in non-conference, you know, is just things of old, you know. It's a new season. We start off 0-0, so, you know, just coming in with that beginner mindset and knowing that, you know, teams are going to, you know, sort of play to sort of resurrect their season and you know, make the most of what they can do to, you know, help their chances in March. So we knew that, you know, Utah was a great team. They're going to come out and play hard. You know, they have great guards, athletic big. So, yeah, kudos to them. They played great today as well.
I'll start with the guys. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Take off.
Sure.
Good. Thanks, guys. Good job, guys. Well, I think they can speak for me, so I don't know if we have much left for me. So.
Well, what did you think, especially early, and was there anything mentally to get these guys ready to go out like that?
Nope, and you know, I've been waiting for Bruce to bring up the altitude question, and I felt it walking up here on the ramp. Bruce, did you feel that? My lungs were burning walking up on that ramp, lungs and legs. I don't know. No, I mean, nothing. We wanted to get off to a good start, and you know, obviously, you know, we've been really focusing on kind of this. It's a new year. It's kind of you're starting a conference season 0-0, so let's treat it as such, and let's be excited to play. And I thought our guys did that. I thought we came out in the game and we really had great early effort, early energy, and we were able to kind of build a little bit of a cushion and play off it. But what I will say is I never felt comfortable. I mean, I played in this building too many times, and Utah, they kept coming, they kept coming, they kept coming. They got some talented players, and I thought they had stretches of the game where they played really well tonight. So I want to give them credit as well.
Hey, Coach, Leaf Tulane of Locked On Wildcats. I have a question for you that's not super specific today, but about just the season in general for you guys. Rebounding and turning defense into offense and taking those deflections and extra possessions of offensive rebounding. How much of building your roster, that's very big, went into studying the recent champions, UConn playing two bigs, and the Final Four teams last year?
Guys, I've been playing two bigs for a lot of years, and obviously that's a comfort of mine. And I think there's a lot of ways to look at the game of basketball. And I think if you look at successful college teams, the one thing that they can do, they're there for the fight. They're there for the fight. For the physical battle, they're there, and I think that's been proven, and that's been, allowed teams to be consistent, high level performing, especially in the tournament. So, of course, we want to look at that, and but I love skilled basketball. I love teaching basketball, but I also understand at the end of the game, you can do all this cute stuff, but if you can't rebound, if you can't put your chest on people on defense, if you can't protect the paint, if you can't, put foul pressure on the other team and rim pressure on the other team, man. You're living and dying with a lot of jump shots, and for me, just to kind of, and I'm not. Let's not act like I'm some maestro. Sometimes it's just how it comes together, and a big part of recruiting is you appreciate the ones you were able to get to say yes, and the ones we got to say yes are built to play a certain way, and we want to take advantage of that.
Thank you. You have big shooting threes now. I think Tobe had
Yeah.
all last season, two today. Like, do you have to encourage him to do that? Or
Well, listen, I mean, Tobe's worked really hard on his shot, and one of the aspects of player development that we really focus on is, obviously the number one objective for me is to win games at Arizona. But secondly, I want these guys to get better and have careers that long, go way past Arizona. And so these guys, are working on things for the future. We're not just doing everything for us. And these guys, they do individual workouts every day with our coaches. And, you can only shoot so many jump hooks. It's hard to work on offensive rebounding 1-on-0. So, they're allowed to work on other stuff. And I'll give Tobe credit. I mean, Tobe has really changed his shot, over the last, year. And to change your shot, it's something that takes multiple years to kind of get there, and because you have to fine tune. Then you have to get game confidence. There's a lot of steps that go into it. So it's a real long process. That's why you don't see many non-shooters develop into shooters, because it's hard to stick to it. And so I'll give Tobe a ton of credit. Mo shoots the three really well from the top. Koa's, shots really come along. So are we going to live and die on that? No. But is it nice to have in your back pocket once in a while? Yeah. Am I proud of those guys for having the confidence to call their own number once in a while? For sure. We want our players to play with that confidence and that freedom.
You had 5 guys in double figures, 2 with double-doubles today. How does that balanced scoring allow you to maybe absorb some of when a team kind of makes their run or when things happen that way?
Well, it allows you to kind of settle in on a rotation. Subbing wise, so you can get guys rest. You don't feel like when sometimes a team makes a run and you're afraid to sub, and it's happened to me a lot. You're afraid to sub, so you might leave a guy out there, for 3 or 4 minutes longer than he usually was, and then you kind of run their legs out of them. And so I just think when you have multiple guys that can contribute, you're a little more comfortable sticking to a kind of a closer to a subbing rotation where guys, have certainty and know where their opportunities are going to come. And then the other thing is it's the luxury of having a lot of good players. It's a lot of good players, and we don't ever want to be a program that's just relying on one guy. We want our good players to love playing with other good players, and we want to be a program that guys want to make each other better, and at the same token, I want to help my brother, but I also understand my brother helps me, and we want those things to be, kind of, a core part of our identity.
Last 2 questions here in the front and in the back. Coach, you obviously mentioned that you've been familiar with this program. You've had a lot of success in the Big 12 the past 2 years. Just, Alex Jensen is still figuring out just his formula for success. For you, how do you feel like Arizona has built up a formula of success for recruiting in the Big 12? And how would you, I guess, say what that formula is?
Well, I mean, first off, I inherited an amazing legacy at the University of Arizona men's basketball. They've had way more success, and sustained success before I got there. So I inherited a program with really strong bones. That had a brand and name recognition. So that's obviously, I don't want to discredit that and act like I got all these great answers and this pixie dust, because I don't. No geniuses. I think you just, we're a day-to-day program. We literally try to make one good decision that leads to the next good decision, leads to the next good decision. If we make a bad decision, we assess it and try to not to make it again and try to learn from it. We're not complicated people. So that's probably more my formula than anything. I don't have an algorithm. I don't have an analytics guru that helps us with whatever, you know what I mean? And listen, and nothing against people that do. We've just chosen to do it our way, and we're comfortable. So I don't know, I don't want to tell other people what the formula is or how they should be successful, because I honestly don't know. I don't know if it's cookie cutter. I think everyone's got to figure it out from their own. I think Alex and Wes are really smart guys. They're basketball guys. They're great people. I know this program has great resources, and it's a great community. I saw a lot of people out there that I know really well, the McCarthys, Donnie Daniels. I have a lot of long-lasting relationships, from people that are still around here. So, so it's a great place, and they'll do a great job. I thought their team really battled today, and I would take some encouragement from that.
Last one, we'll go back there.
Coach, you had won your last 8 by at least 20. Today you win by 19. When you open up a big lead like you did today, how do you make sure your guys, one, keep their focus, and two, their defensive intensity up?
Well, I don't know if we did tonight. Two things. Human nature is powerful, and you're always fighting that. And the other thing is, I think it's really important in these games to not get caught up in all the ancillary stuff. It's 0-0. 0-0, possession by possession. And I'm trying to hold these guys to a certain standard, and I think they appreciate it, but it probably gets annoying at times, because I think this group is, all of our groups. I think they're built to be successful, and I want to make sure I'm doing my part of holding them to a standard, and that's going to allow us to consistently perform at a high level. So but I thought tonight, two things. I thought we had maybe some letdowns, whether it was just a shot decision, a defensive, being half a step behind. We kind of relaxed a little bit. And I thought Utah had some moments where they kind of ramped up their urgency and took advantage of that, So it goes both ways. And, they get credit and, for pushing back and, and we'll take a look at the film and see if there's things we can get better. But, to be honest with you, to finish it off, it's just 0-0. That's the approach I try to take.
Thanks.